Are you interested in sewing the Drunkard's Path quilt block, but you are a little nervous because it involves sewing curves? Well, stay tuned. I'm going to give you 3 tips plus a bonus on how you can improve your accuracy in sewing the Drunkard's Path quilt block. Tip number 1 in sewing an accurate Drunkard's Path quilt block is to make sure that you cut the 2 pieces that go with the block together accurately. I use the AccuQuilt cutting system, and that makes my cutting so much easier. So here's the first die, and it's called the arc. This die here, I make sure that I cut this on the lengthwise grain. This is the second piece. It's called the arc. And this one, I try as much as possible to cut that on the bias. And so when you cut this piece on the bias, what that allows you to do is have a little stretch as you're sewing the 2 pieces together. Tip number 2 is to make sure when you're sewing the 2 pieces together that you follow the notches. And what I mean by, if you use the AccuQuilt cutting system, there's a notch right here. And then there is a notch right here. And so what you'll do is at your machine, you'll line these 2 notches up together and then sew a 1/4 inch seam around the curve of the notch. Tip number 3 is to let the feed dogs do the work. And what I mean by that is you're going to take the arc shape and you're going to place this shape flat on your sewing machine bed. And then you're going to take the 1/4 circle piece and you're going to place that piece on top. And remember how I said in tip number 1 that you should cut the arc piece on the bias? The reason why you do that is because, again, the feed dogs, when you start sewing, will pull this piece forward. And then your hand is going to position the circle piece in such a way that it's just twisting ever so slightly. And that creates the actual arc in the Drunkard's Path quilt block. Okay, so here's a bonus tip. The bonus tip is to make sure that when you're done sewing your 2 pieces together, that you press towards the 1/4 circle side. Your seam is going to want to press that way anyway, but just make sure that when you're pressing towards this shape. And then another bonus is to use a clapper. The clapper is your friend. What you'll do is you'll place the clapper on top of the finished block. Once you're done pressing it, leave the clapper there for a second or 2 and then remove the clapper, and then voila, you have a beautiful Drunkard's Path quilt block.